This is Unit G, Find and Replace Table Data. Every once in a while, you may need to locate specific records in your table. For instance, let's say your office has thousands of records or rows. Now your boss walks in and says, "I need this information," and it's your job to comb through those records. What do? Do you go into that worksheet row by row? I hope not. You can use the Excel Find feature to search your table for the information you need. Now what if that same boss now needs you to make the changes that are necessary to all the records you found? Well, don't quit just yet. You can also use the Replace feature to locate and replace existing entries or portions of entries with information that you specify. And even if you don't know the exact spelling of the text you're searching for, you can still use a special feature called wildcards to help you locate those records. Wildcards are special symbols that substitute for unknown characters. So let's get started. Let's click on cell A1. Make sure that you're on the Home tab, and next we'll go to the Find and Select button in the Editing group. From that drop-down, we'll select Find. And of course, a Find and Replace dialog box opens. It's in this Find What text box that we can enter criteria that we specify to find what we need to find. Now we're going to search for records whose tour field contains the label Old Japan. So I go ahead and type Old Japan in the Find What text box, and then I'll click Find Next. And you'll want to notice the spreadsheet or the worksheet behind my dialog box. So A3 has the first record of Old Japan. In fact, I can click Find Next and examine the record for each Old Japan tour found until no more matching cells are found in the table. So I'll do Find Next again. Let's see, the first is A3. A15 has Old Japan, A38, and A65. If I do it one more time, I'm right back up here at active cell A3. So there are quite a few of those. But now what about our second scenario in our introduction, where the boss walks in and now you need to make changes to every record that you find based on some criteria that you select? Well, we'll just go back, and before I do anything, I like to start at the top of my worksheet. So I'm going to select A1 again. We go back to Find and Select, but this time, instead of stopping by Find, we'll go straight to Replace. I'll get rid of Old Japan here. I've got a different scenario in mind. This time, we want to search for entries that contain the word Ireland and replace them with the word Scotland. So, I could type Ireland in here in its entirety. But let's pretend like I was a little confused as to how to spell it. I know what it begins with, but that's about it. I could simply enter IR, put my asterisk, and then I could rely on Microsoft Excel to do the rest for me. By the way, the asterisk here represents a wildcard, or a character that stands in place of the other characters that I don't know. So the same thing, I could move on and start my Find Next, but let's do one more thing before I get too carried away. IR may be represented in other words in my worksheet, and so I don't want to grab everything that has IR. I want to make sure I only grab items that start with a capital I and a lowercase r. So I'm going to come down here and make sure that there is a check mark next to match case, and often that check mark is not there, so you want to be certain that you do have one there. Now that we've done that, oh, and by the way, if you don't see all of these options, the Options button would be how you get them. So, now that you've made sure that you've come to the Options location and that you've selected Match Case, if we wanted to, we could go ahead and close that back. And I'll just select Replace All. Excel made 3 replacements, and if we dig through here, we could find those 3 replacements. They're in cells A27, A36, and A40 if you want to double check. But that's it for this exercise. Really simple, but a very powerful feature. Now we're working with a very tiny worksheet, but just think about if this worksheet had 5,000 or 10,000 rows or records in it. Then this exercise gets to be a lot more impressive. That's it for us now. Alright, did you catch my error in the last episode? Well, let me go ahead and open this Find and Select again, back to Replace. I was supposed to replace IR, and really Ireland, with Scotland, but I never actually put Scotland in the Replace with window. So now I have to go back and fix this error. Before I do that, just to give you an idea of what's out here, right now all you see is biking in. Well, that won't do, of course. Slightly embarrassing, but that's alright, because that feature will help me also. What I'll do is, this should say, well, it should have originally said biking in Ireland. Well, I'll take off the Ireland because now I realize what it says is biking in. But I wanted to say biking in Scotland. So let's see if this fixes my error. Now there's an error here. Did you catch it? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Notice we also have biking in Scotland, France. That won't do. So let me click OK, close, and undo as my friend. Notice row 22 down here. Takes it back to biking in France. I didn't want to change that. I only wanted to change the ones that had nothing there. So I'm going to have to make a couple of quick corrections. First of all, let me go back. I still want to make that change, and I don't want to do it by hand. So I'll come down again and choose Replace. And I get to use a feature that we haven't discussed under Options. Notice I can choose to match entire cell content, and so I'm hoping that saves me. I'll go ahead and put a space there. Match entire cell contents. Let's try Replace All one more time. Now notice I'm told that it only made 3 replacements instead of 5 replacements. In other words, my biking in France is still here, but the records that simply had biking in, now I've added biking in Scotland. So that match entire cell contents comes in pretty handy as well. Now, hopefully there are no more mistakes.